over the course of decades, the city and county of San Francisco has stood for people's human rights in all corners of the world. And even though, and I would further say, not just even though, but because of our unique and special relationship here in San Francisco to the people of China, we have an obligation as the Olympic torch approaches, or I guess is physically here in San Francisco, and as it will be run through the streets of San Francisco tomorrow, to greet this torch with alarm and with protest in the name of Tibetans whose voices have been silenced, in memory of those who have lost their lives in order to fight for their own rights. We will greet this torch on the streets of San Francisco with alarm and with protest. And the occupation, the brutal suppression of the Tibetan people, the cultural genocide committed by the Chinese government in Tibet is unfortunately representative and emblematic of a litany of human rights abuses committed by the Chinese government, from supporting the genocide in Darfur to propping up a bloody dictatorship in Burma, to persecution of democratic activists amongst their own populace, from limitation of a free press and persecution of people who believe in something different than the top officials at the PRC. The Chinese government's record on human rights, generally speaking, is abysmal, and their record in Tibet is unconscionable. With our 12 noon siren, let me say that the sirens will be broadcasting alarm tomorrow. It will be my obligation to join together with you on Embarcadero on the streets of San Francisco. As the Dalai Lama, as San Franciscans embrace nonviolence, let us call on the best of those who've gone before us protesting in nonviolent ways. From Mahatma Gandhi to Dr. Martin Luther King to the Dalai Lama, we will greet this torch with protest in a non-violent and yet most militant way, calling the world's attention to the human rights abuses committed by the Chinese government, calling the world's attention to the people of Tibet and their righteous call for self-determination.
Yeah! Woo-hoo!
And if it is a middle path and autonomy, or if it is independence in a free Tibet, which I prefer,
Yes.
the point is that the Tibetan people get to decide. That's how democracy works. Thank you to all of the Tibetan Americans. Thank you to the people of Tibet for standing up not just for your own freedoms, but for the freedoms of people in all corners of this world. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Tenzin Chöndinla. As mentioned earlier, he is the North American representative of the Tibetan Government in Exile, Assembly of Tibetan People's Deputies. Tenzin Chöndinla.